Hey guys, welcome to Admit 3, where we discuss all things movies, media, and television. I'm Rob.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Kurt.
Thank you for joining us. All right, welcome to our continued review of The Last of Us TV series. We're on episode 5, Endure and Survive, starring Pedro Pascal and I don't remember what the
Bella
Elliot
Ramsey.
Bella Ramsey. They at the end of the last episode, they are caught off guard by two figures that haven't really been introduced yet, but they are introduced in this episode as Henry and
Sam.
I was gonna say Ben.
Henry and Ben.
And
Let's just call him Ben the rest of the episode.
this whole episode is basically Ellie and Joel teaming up with Henry and Sam trying to get out of the city because they're being hunted by. Did we get a name for this group yet, or they're still just called people?
People.
They're just people. Yeah.
Just people.
I don't know if there is an actual name for them. But they're led
They
by
call
Kathleen.
themselves the people.
They're led by Kathleen. I know that. Played by Melanie Linsky.
Right. They develop a strategy to go through the tunnels underground to escape the people tracking them. And then, yada yada, they pop up on the other side of the city, and there's like a sniper in a clock tower shooting at them. And Henry, Sam, and Ellie stay behind a truck while Joel flanks around. And Joel gives the guy a chance to escape. He says, "Put your gun down," and like, "Don't do it." And then the old guy turns and like goes to shoot, and Joel puts him down. Charlie Brown. And basically the people or whatever they call themselves show up, and they're like, "Henry, come out, we're gonna kill you and your brother." And then a bunch of infected come flying out of the ground, and a new infected, which you haven't seen yet, I guess, which is called the Bloater, as Kurt
Bloater.
informs me.
Yeah. Just basically me as a mushroom man.
Jesus.
It basically goes like full on Juggernaut mode and rips a guy's head clean off his body, which was kind of cool to see. Although I don't know why he just stood there shooting at it instead of trying to run or anything.
Obviously
He
wasn't
just-
working.
Yeah, it clearly wasn't working out. And so obviously Joel, Ellie, Henry, and I keep wanting to call him Ben, I don't know why, and Sam escape. And at the end of the episode, Ellie and Sam are having this like touching moment where they're like talking to each other and discussing their fears. And Sam, he's deaf and mute, so he doesn't talk. So he just wrote down on like a piece of paper.
That is what that tends to mean.
He wrote down on a piece of paper, that like, if you turn into a monster, is it still you inside? And then shows Ellie his bite. Ellie rubs her blood on top of his wound and says her blood is medicine. And then they wake up the next morning. Sam's a zombie, attacks Ellie. Henry shoots Sam. And then Henry's like, "Oh my god, what did I do? What have I done?" And then shoots himself. And then the end of the episode is them burying the bodies. And then Ellie leaves the book thing that Sam was writing on. It said, "I'm sorry" on it. And that was the end of the episode. Did you guys have any strong feelings about this episode?
You also forgot to mention that Kathleen met her demise.
Yeah, I also wanted to point out that seemed really like lackluster the way they did that. Like, she was only in it for 2 episodes, and it almost seemed like they were building her up to be like a big bad villain. Maybe this is exactly how it went in the game. I don't know, but it kind of seemed like she was just like thrown in there, and then they took her out like without much impact.
Well, I feel like she doesn't really have any sort of meaning if Henry and Sam are dead. Because that was basically all she was trying to do, right? Find Henry and Sam to take him out. So they're dead now, so what point does she have?
Well, I mean, she was leading that group of people. But
Which most of them
I guess most of them
now.
are dead now too, yeah.
Did any of them survive? I don't know. I don't think they did.
I agree that's the ending of that storyline left a lot to be desired for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mentioned to you after the episode that it feels like it's rushing through some of these things. It's like setting these things up, and then they're paying off either in the same episode or the episode after. And it's kind of not resonating with me as the same way as something like, I know you guys hate The Walking Dead, but in The Walking Dead, like the big bads
Yeah.
really were like big bads. Whether it was half a season, a whole season, or in Negan's case, it took way too fucking long. But when those villains met their end, you felt completely satisfied because you were so invested in the struggle against them.
Right.
And so far in The Last of Us, which I guess is a nitpick because otherwise I think it's a fantastic series, you don't feel that. It's rushing through all of these villains, and I get they've got a destination they're trying to reach in the story, and this season they've got 9 episodes to get to Wyoming to deliver Ellie to Firefly or whatever the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
But it's just leaving a lot to on the table, I think, with some of these villains. Laura, what do you think?
I I didn't really like Kathleen, so I don't care that she was taken out too soon. Like, I feel like I mean, they gave us a little bit of backstory about her, but like I feel like they could have done more with her character, but it fell flat a little bit. So like her exiting after only 2 episodes doesn't really bother me at all.
I think my issue is more so that it kind of, to piggyback on what you said, it doesn't, she wasn't fleshed out enough and her story wasn't fleshed out enough. So when she met her demise, it felt like it was meant to be a big moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like when she's getting smacked around.
Or the little baby.
That feels like it's meant to be like a fuck yeah kind of moment, but it doesn't land that way. And it's kind of the same way with, I think we mentioned back in episode 2 when what's her name died, and it was feels like it was meant to be
I think it's Tess, right?
Tess, yeah.
it feels like it's meant to be this big sad moment, but all of her stuff was kind of glossed over too, so it that also didn't resonate with me. I just feel like these things are paying off more maybe for people who played the video game and love the video game more than they're paying off for us who have not played The Last of Us.
I am wondering if it is quick in the game as well, because like some of the dialogue that goes along with it is literally like word for word. So I wonder if it's like
it could be. And honestly, she might be more fleshed out in the series than she is in the game.
Yeah.
We've seen that a couple of times now.
I think I'm just gonna have to get the video game.
Yeah, I think the remaster comes out in March sometime, and we're talking about.
It's like that. It was supposed to come out at the beginning of March, but then they pushed it back to the end of March. You can still get the other one, like the older ones, but I think you have to have a PlayStation to play those, which it's like the only system we don't have.
Overall, though, I feel like this was my favorite episode of the series.
Whoa! I didn't see that coming.
He did say that the other day.
I thought it was.
I thought he was kidding when he said that.
I thought it was the best balance between like the emotional human drama stuff and the action horror stuff. The ending is very sad. It doesn't quite get to the same level as episode 3 did, where we were, blubbering on the couch, but it's still very sad and very emotional. But that episode didn't really have a lot of, the horror and action elements. And this one, that attack near the end is so good when you see the infected crawling out of the ground.
They're fast.
They're crawling and flipping over each other, and they're moving fast.
It really does remind me of World War Z, where
I
they're
bet,
literally
I've never
just
seen it.
Yes, you have.
I haven't.
You're better
Literally
off,
just-
but the zombies are cool.
They're like running up each other, and like, there's no possible way.
I do remember the scene for in the commercials for that movie where like they're climbing up each other's bodies to like reach a wall, and then they jump on like a helicopter or something.
Pretty wild. Surprised that I actually didn't cry during this episode, because I feel like I knew it was going to happen. First of all, actually, I did know, because I turned every time something happened, I'm like, oh, the little kid got bit. And then Kurt was like, no. And then you find out the kid, Sam got bit. And then I was like, he just shot Henry just shot his brother. He's gonna end up turning the gun on himself because he like now he has no purpose to live. He's like, no. The next second he blows his head off. I'm like, what?
We should mention that Laura watched this a day after us, so she was watching it and we had already known what happened, so it was kind of like interesting to see her reaction to it.
Yeah, I feel like it was kind of predictable. I do wish that at least the kid survived because, like I said, in anything, I hate when children or animals die in movies or shows. It really aggravates me. I don't know why they can't just let the innocents be innocent.
That doesn't happen in the real world either, though.
Yeah, I know, but this isn't the real world. This is TV.
It's horror. It's not supposed to be happy.
Well, it wasn't a happy ending, that's for sure.
I actually, one thing I want to mention about the sad ending, of course, it's the way it plays out with Sam and Henry. I almost forgot his name.
Ben and Henry?
I actually thought it was really sad that Ellie is so desperate to save Sam that she says my blood is medicine.
Yeah.
She's like desperate to believe that and hope that it works because she doesn't understand how it works. She's just been told that she holds the key to a cure. So she's desperately trying to keep her new friend alive. And I'm curious to see how that plays out moving forward. That she sees that didn't work. Maybe she starts to doubt that she can be the cure that everybody thinks she can be.
Also, one thing I also don't understand is when Ellie wakes up, Sam's just sitting on the edge of the bed. Why is he just sitting there?
We saw kind of early on, I think in the first episode actually, like the recently infected are kind of like spaced out and then they're on their ward, like that lady that's in the chair in the first episode.
Okay. Yeah.
They just kind of disassociate and then I guess she called attention to the fact that she was there and then that was it.
Plus, it adds tension to the scene.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like pretty much anybody who's watching that's gonna be like, oh yeah, he's a zombie. But obviously Ellie in the show, her character is just like, what's up, dude?
Knowing that he's deaf and can't hear anyway.
Yeah. I did feel like the pacing was a little off in this episode, but then again, it's like you're trying to go from a video game to a show, and like in a video game you could be playing one level for hours, so it's probably hard to try to condense as much as you can into one episode. Overall though, I still enjoyed it. I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite episode, but I did enjoy it. Thought it was good.
I still have to say that episode 3 is my favorite. It's the only one I give a 5
to
out
be your favorite.
5 out of 5. It's hard to compete with. Something that can trigger your emotions like that, like the whole episode too, not just at the sad parts, at the happy parts you're crying. I don't know if you can beat that.
I can beat that.
I thought this was maybe the most video gamey episode of the series so far. That action horror scene where Joel is in the tower and he's sniping. He's got to snipe the driver of the truck. I was like, there's no doubt that this is in the video game. Like, I will fucking give up everything I own if that is not in the video game.
So not much.
Fuck you.
Yeah, and when they're hiding behind the car, and he's got to like sneak around. So like, I was like picturing in my mind like how it would look in the video game. It's just like there's like a notification that pops up on the top that's like find a way into the clock tower or something. It does seem very video gamey. And then when they come out of the hole, that's like straight out of the video game as well. Or at least I feel like it is.
One thing I like that happens during that scene too is we kind of get a glimpse of how much Ellie and Joel are starting to be on the same page because they don't really communicate with each other. But she's thinking about going into the car, and he knows she's thinking about going into the car.
Yeah, he just looks at what direction she's looking in. He's like, okay, yeah, I got it. Yeah,
I really love those two together. I don't think the actors have great chemistry.
Hopefully, we continue to see that.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll continue building.
Fall off. Sometimes in like series, there'll be like a really strong first couple episodes, and it's just like, yeah. So
gotcha.
hopefully it doesn't happen with.
Yeah. Well, we're what was that, episode 5?
Yeah,
So
we got 4 more.
yeah,
So
but it's been a very strong 5
that's
episodes.
what I'm afraid of.
I will say that it seems like Joel is really, like opening back up to the world, and like his emotions are starting to show more. Like earlier, I think it was the first or second episode, maybe the second, where he's like throwing bodies in the fire and just has no like reaction, emotion to it at all. And then at the end of this episode, where they're burying the bodies, you can tell that he was like affected by it. And then when Ellie's walking off, like she asked which way is west, and then it starts walking. You could tell that like he was, definitely affected by it. And not only is he affected by it, but he's worrying about Ellie and how much it's affecting her. And so it's definitely interesting seeing that character growth.
Yeah, I agree. Laura. Do you concur?
I concur. I already said that, mate.
The thing I want to mention before we get around to our final scores is how awesome the bloater was. Like it was awesome, but also goofy at the same time. Like it comes charging out, and just starts pounding these guys like fucking Hulk or something. And it grabs the mercenary guy and like rips his head off, almost like Predator. Like you can kind of see the neck falling.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Brutal.
So hopefully you get to see more of those guys just lumbering around, tearing shit
I'm
up.
surprised there's only one. There was only one in that hole. There was a lot of zombies that came out of that underground hole. So I'm surprised there's only one.
Which I guess that was the same group of zombies that was punching like the concrete or whatever under that building in the previous episode.
Yeah.
Well, they did say it was like, 15 or 20 years of them just like keeping these things down there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how one becomes a bloater. Did you say? I don't remember.
Bad luck.
Lack of exercise.
Well, we've had the past couple episodes, we've had like a question that we will entertain for the rest of the group here. And I've got a question for you guys.
Ooh.
If we were in a situation where like Joel, Ellie, Henry, and Sam were, they're pinned down by a sniper up in a clock tower or whatever it was. I think it was a clock tower, whatever it was. Church, I'm not sure.
It was a house, but okay.
Who out of the three of us are we sending out to go like flank the guy?
I would probably say you because you're the most experienced with guns and you could probably run faster than either of us.
Wow, that's not right.
Okay.
You guys are sending me out to die.
Well,
I mean,
die.
one,
She's trusting you to live.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
one,
it's Pedro Pascal.
I wouldn't be alive during this point.
Oh,
so.
Jesus Christ.
So it's me and you. So I go left and you go right. You can't get us both.
Yeah, for sure. But you have most experience with guns, so I feel like you'd be better off
I would
trying to save the group.
distract him like in the MacGruber movie. I would strip down naked and put a stick of celery in my butt and waddle out in the middle, and he'll be so distracted that you can just run around and rip
I
his
feel
throat
like
out.
you wouldn't have to do that.
Where would you get the celery from?
There's enough food there. It's the end of the world.
Use a stick of beef
I
jerky.
always keep a stick of celery on hand.
You got those beanie weenies. All right, well, I guess that'll do it. Tune in Monday
We
for...
didn't give our scores yet on the episode.
Well, you really blew it.
We all gave it a 5, so that's all it comes down to.
You Jennifer Love blew it.
All right, before you guys answer, I'm gonna guess. Kurt's gonna give us a 4.5. Laura's gonna give it a 3.5. All right, what's your guys' scores?
gonna give it a 3.
A 3? I'm going to splash water in your face. It's a 4.5.
Robert knows this too well.
I'll give this episode a 4. I mean, it did have some issues with it, but I did also really enjoy it.
I don't know why I'm saying 3. Maybe because it didn't make me cry. If it made me cry, I would have given it a 3.5.
I think it's because you didn't watch it with us. You weren't having as much fun with it.
That's true. Moral of the story is you fucked up.
I wasn't gonna go there, but yeah. What are we watching next? Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania
Quantumania.
with Kong or Kang?
Kang.
Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong. King Kong.
Kong Kang.
He's also that actor's also in Creed 3, right?
He's in Creed 3. I am going to make them watch all of the Rocky movies. And we're going to watch Creed 3.
Laura's like, no, you ain't.
It's going to happen. If it's the last thing I do in this fucking world, it's gonna make you guys watch all of
It
Rocky
might be the
movies.
last thing you do.
It might be. Might be the last thing you guys do if you don't stop fucking around.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you follow us again on Monday for that Ant-Man and the Wasp review. We've got high expectations. I don't think they can get any higher than they are. So, thanks for listening.
See you next time.
See you later, mates.
Hey guys, be sure to follow us on social media. We are at Admit3Pod on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram.